Welcome back. We are live here at AWS on air at reInvent. Steve, I think we're getting some background noise from you. Yeah, there we go. I think that was Steve. Ben.
Yeah, it was unmuted, Mike.
There we go. Ben, how's it going?
Welcome to New Zealand, man. Welcome to the future. It's Tuesday here. And climate change is real, right? The future is, I'm calling you from the future. We've got to do something about this thing.
I love it. I love it. These are some of my favorite sessions I've been able to do here at AWS on air, is our sustainability sessions. So we had one earlier. I'm really excited to talk to you, Ben, about Cogo. First off, is that how to pronounce it?
You were bang on the money.
I got it. So sustainability, an issue close to my heart and should be close to everyone's heart, because it is literally, as I said earlier, an issue that affects every single person on the planet. So it is our duty to deal with the challenges and issues that are coming to us through carbon emissions specifically. Now, Cogo, you all work with banks, right? That was one of the first questions I wanted to ask. Why banks? Like, what specifically about banks are you targeting with Cogo?
Well, I guess most of us have a bank account, right? And whether you like your bank or not, the bank holds lots of data around where you're spending money, and where we spend money relates to what impact we've got on climate change. So if we're buying a lot of flights, if we're eating out a lot, using Ubers, whatever it is, every spending we do has an impact on climate. And I think that's where we first thought, well, why don't we get into financial data and help empower people to understand the impact of their spending on climate change?
That's really interesting. I mean, yeah, that is, you are targeting a vast number of people, right? So it's both for the bank and also the individual consumer.
It's actually primarily for the individuals or the small businesses that bank.
Oh, interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. Very interesting.
So the banks, I mean, they're getting regulated more and more now, and there's obviously a lot of individuals within those banks that are looking to, work at a bank that's doing good in the world. So there's a lot of reasons why the bank's keen to work with us, but really it's a channel to help us reach millions of people and businesses that are wanting to do something about climate change. They're looking at what the government's doing, and we just had the UN conference, right? It's like, oh my God, are we relying on these people to sort out climate change? So I think we're trying to empower individuals and businesses to do their bit.
Okay, I mean, this may be a silly way to approach this, but that's kind of my style. I watch a lot of Shark Tank, and over the years, I've seen a dramatic change in how businesses, specifically in Shark Tank, get funded. And a lot of the businesses coming into Shark Tank nowadays have one of these sustainability pitches that go along with their business, because we as consumers, especially the younger generation, it's vital, right? You pick a company, you pick how you consume based off of this information. So is that something that you all at Cogo help a bank to really advertise to their customers?
Yeah. I mean, in the end, we all live in an economy where businesses need to make profits, and so the acquisition and retention of customers is critical for the bank, right? And they are really worried about these millennials and the sort of, the future mortgage buyers, moving off to another one that's doing something around this. So in some ways, cynically, maybe you could argue, well, banks just have to do something around this, or else they're just not going to attract the new banking customers that are coming out of universities and stuff, going, maybe I'm not going to bank with the same one my mum and dad did. Maybe I'm going to choose something different. And I think that's why, many banks say to us, it'll become a hygiene factor in a couple of years. If you don't have something that's helping your customers think about the impact on social and environmental issues, you become a bank of the past.
It's so true. It's so true. And, speaking of, who are some of your major customers? Who are some of the people working with Cogo?
I'd love to list about 5 big North American banks, but the truth is they're slow and they're not doing anything. So unfortunately, this is partly why we're here on, the show, and also putting effort into North America, is it's coming. But the main ones we work with are in Europe, in Asia, and Australasia. So you might have heard of NatWest. They're one of the biggest banks in England. We work with ING. They're one of the big Dutch banks. They've got around 35 million customers. through Europe and into the rest of the world. We work with OCBC Singapore, Commonwealth Bank in Australia. Like a lot of the biggest banks in these markets have chosen Cogo because of the work we've done over literally 12 years in the space. And yeah, I guess coming to your mobile banking app in America soon is all I can say. There's a lot of conversations.
I'm looking forward to that. Let me ask too, in terms of the impact that you all drive, right? What are some of the common ways that you actually do reduce the carbon footprint of a
Sure.
bank consumer? Something that pops to my mind, tell me if I'm far off base here, just switching from paper, right? Like to all digital notifications,
Yep.
something that simple, right?
And that's an example where the banks themselves have got like ways they can fine tune their operations. But the real focus, we say, is we help banks support their customers to measure their carbon footprint and reduce it. And the reduce is probably 95% of the effort we do, because measuring it, it's pretty good. It will always get better, but reducing is critical. So the way to think about it is you look at what you spend money on every month, and you'll find things like, the gas you put in your car, the flying you do, the amount of money you spend on electricity and energy. There are quite a lot of things that we have a library of actions we recommend, and the bank just pushes them. So if you are like using gas a lot, we'll probably nudge you to things like, have you thought about electric vehicles? Have you thought about public transport? And so we give you the recommendations, or the bank does, to help you bring down that footprint based on your actual personal circumstances.
That's even like deeper than I was thinking, which is amazing too. That's like a personal accountability that you can have from your own bills.
Spending, yeah. I mean,
yeah, that's amazing.
Banks have this thing called personal finance management. So, when you open up, I don't know, Chase, or open up one of these banking apps, and it will be like, hey, you spent a lot of money eating and drinking or going out takeaways, or have you thought about saving money, blah, blah, blah. This is the same idea, but it's not about saving money. It's about reducing your carbon footprint. So the same psychology works. But I suppose we think more people ultimately will care about this, particularly the ones the bank wants to keep as customers, the ones that have got enough money to, buy an electric car and stuff. And the banks also win because then they get to finance some of this stuff with auto loans and things. So it's not just a thing that's nice to do. It's a thing that actually can drive value to the bank.
Yeah, not saving money, saving the planet, which
it's a win-win, mate.
Yeah, I agree for sure. Well, Ben, 10 minutes flew by. It's already
done. Amazing.
Loved having you here. Do you want to leave our viewers with anything?
I think the main thing we're keen is that we want to see this across the States in the next year or two, so that all of the big major banks, all of the all banks where you bank should have something like this. So the call to action we're really keen is just literally check in on social media with your bank and say, hey, have you heard about this thing called carbon footprint tracking? Like, I care about this thing called climate. If you want me to stay with you, check out Cogo, check out other people that do this stuff. And that's really what we do, is just to help give you a voice as a customer and help build a product that ultimately makes you go to bed at night feeling a little bit like you're doing your bit.
I love it, Ben. Thank you so much. Yeah, go out and make it known that it's important to you that your bank has these features that Cogo can offer. So thank you all.
Perfect.
We'll be right back with more from AWS On Air.